our buddy Frank Seravalli, who is back in the home studio. We were wondering about your travel. You're putting on some miles. Do you go to Florida? How are you doing this? Of course, the extra day now between games 4 and 5. A little break for you. Are you going? Will you be there if there's a cup to be raised tomorrow night?
Yep. Flight is in 4 hours. Jeez. And came home for Father's Day. Took the red eye out of Edmonton on Saturday night. And yeah, I'm home for a day.
Grinding, Frank.
Yeah. It was good to see you in Bissonnette with your shirts off at the game. That was nice. Love it.
Yep. People would run if that were the case.
It was quite a night at the old Rogers, whatever it is, up there on Saturday.
It was. Look, that environment was the best that we've seen from any barn in the playoffs to this point. It could have gone the other way in a hurry. You blow that 2. You guys were just talking about it, that big save. You blow that 2-0 lead in the first period, and all of a sudden, Rhett, you were asking about, you mentioned the idea that when you guys were down 3-0 against, I know it went to triple OT in game 4 against the Avs in 96. Like, I had a little bit of vibes being around the Oilers that they were just ready to go. Honestly, like their body language was terrible on the day in between games. I heard a lot of, man, that's a really good team over there. And I was thinking there's a real opportunity for a sweep here.
Yeah, we all did, right?
It just felt like there was something about that. There was something about that game 3, the way that Florida just instilled their will. And we were talking on Friday. How is this team built? Bill Zito giving him all the credit in the world, and these guys are dogs and how they compete, and the Oilers have so much. Now, that said, I think that Paul Maurice has got his head on straight. I'm not sure how much of it takes in, but to the Panthers, I don't think there's a ton of damage, but I do think it gives the Oilers a bit of a boost. I don't think they win this series. I still think Florida finds a way to win one more here over the next week, but
the specter of it has changed, right? Because this is a team that for 3 games talked about, hey, we got it, quality looks, chances, and we just haven't been able to convert. You go out and get 15 different people on a score sheet in one game, and all of a sudden the goalie's been pulled. So the aura of invincibility that was surrounding him, that's been punctured. And then you've got this confidence that, can funnel through the rest of your team. And oh, by the way, their power plays 1 for 16 has yet to take over a game. Draisaitl's been quiet. You have any one of those couple things happen, can the Oilers win one more game? If the Oilers win one more game, I'd almost guarantee that we go 7. They win on Tuesday night in Florida. You go back to Edmonton for game 6 on Friday night. That's tough sledding for the Panthers.
Mm-hmm. It does feel like it's going to take one more of those holy shit efforts from Florida. We're like, how did they do it? And, just the steely willingness to do anything to win, guys playing through injuries, great goaltending. They're going to need one more of those.
Yeah. And Rhett, by the way, like it is obviously, Rhett has played in a couple Stanley Cup Finals, but when you get to that stage and you're up 3-0, it's hard to block out the emotion of what's on the other end of that. Like all morning we're in their dressing room asking them, hey, when's the first time you ever dreamed of winning the Stanley Cup? Like that's the question.
Yeah.
And by the way, Kyle Okpozo's answer, and this is why I brought it up, is the first time he ever started thinking about the Stanley Cup was the 1996 final. He was 8 years old. His parents let him stay up for triple OT, and it was the first time that he saw it hoisted. And he said, from that moment on, that was the chase. That's the goal. Try and get to be an NHL player. Try and get a chance to win a Stanley Cup. That's when the seed was planted.
And then on top of that, they're seeing the shitty body language that you referenced with Edmonton. They have this feeling that we all had, which is there's just one team clearly better than the other. I mean, it would be very, very hard to close out a sweep. And Rhett, you've been talking about that series. I mean, the closest game you had was 4, and they needed, 6 periods to get you?
Yeah. Game 3, I think it was a 2-1 loss, so it was close too. But yeah, when you're up, it's you hear game round 1 when you don't want to let a team back in.
Yeah.
And Edmonton got a foot back in the door on Saturday night. Again, I think they're a long way from putting the pressure back on Florida, but
One game.
they did what
Do you
they
agree,
needed to do.
though? If
Uh-huh.
you agree, if
Oh,
they
you
win
win one
5,
more.
then all of a sudden
If
it
you win
changes?
game, yes, immediately the pressure goes to Florida where, oh, you can't close this out. You're not, you haven't been able to close it out. So, and that's why you don't ever want to let them even into it.
Yeah.
Right. Like, that's why it's like, never give them, like you said, their body language, they were down. Everyone's defeated, has a bit of a defeated feel. Put them away. We said that when Dallas was up 2-0 in game 4 in Edmonton. Put it away. We said that when Edmonton was up by 2 in game 3. Put them away. As soon as you let somebody back in, there's trouble.
It is interesting too, though, that we're holding them to a pretty high standard. If that's the case, you better sweep. Now 3-0. But I know what you're saying, right?
But it's the psychology of it, right?
Yeah.
It's the psychology of the 8-1 score too. Like that all of a sudden has changed things. Instead of, if you had told the Panthers that they're heading back home with a 3-1 series lead before it started, they'd be like, oh my God, we're in the best situation ever. But because game 4 was so lopsided, all of a sudden everyone's saying, well, hold on a second here. Maybe this series isn't over.
I don't think I don't disagree with your take on that, but I don't think that's what Florida will think. And I think
that's what I'm saying. It's easy for us to look from the outside and say, oh, that game was, but they're still up 3-1.
I wonder about individually, though, because I'm with you. I think Florida finds a way. They're going to settle in. But about Bobrovsky, all of those guys, for the most part, have one win away from lifting a Stanley Cup, Bobrovsky included. If the Oilers score in their first shot or get one early, where's his head at? I think he's been ironclad. This is the first time we've seen anything like this with him in this postseason. Again, I'm kind of reaching. I don't think it's going to rattle him, but I as a team, not so much. But I wonder if some of the individuals, because like you say, they're going to wake up and think, I could be drinking out of that thing tonight.
Well, it's not just game 4. Like if you actually rewind a couple periods, so he played 25 minutes in game 4, gave up 5 goals on 11 shots. I think we're talking about 8 goals on 20 some shots if you rewind a little bit. So
yeah, before that he was 975, right? Like that.
That's what I'm saying. It went from nothing to all in like 4-5 periods of time.
Well, you go back to the third period of game 3, because they were, again, Oilers outscored Florida 11-1. The 8 periods prior to that, Florida outscored Edmonton 11-1. So
help it make sense. We're talking about a series tied in aggregate goals, as you just mentioned.
Yeah.
And somehow Stuart Skinner has the better goals against average than Sergei Bobrovsky through 4 games.
Who's still the favorite to win the Conn Smythe, by the way. I checked this morning. Yeah.
He's the favorite, but I think he shot his chances.
Do you?
So he should be the favorite, is what you're saying.
That's not how I would look at it. No.
You'd set the odds differently. Yeah. And you know what? Like, to be fair, the 3 wins they've had, he's been superb. If they're going to have a 4th win, he's probably going to have to be superb again. And that maybe changes your mind again.
Maybe. I mean,
if they win in 5 and he was great in 4 of the games, like, yeah.
There's a limit to what I can say. I'm one of the 17 voters. I would just say that I was really on the fence before game 4, and that made it a lot easier for me.
Why were you on the fence?
Because Sergei Bobrovsky got through round 1 with a sub 900 save percentage, and round 2 he was 907. So you smashed the 2 of them together, and he was 902. He was just average through the first 2 rounds.
So you're not looking at the final super heavily, is what you're saying there.
Well, I do weigh it, of course, but has there been any hiccup at all in Alexander Barkov's game? He's gone 4 rounds and it's been near brilliant.
Yeah, and he's the one that's moved the most. He's almost even money now, and Bobrovsky's a slight favorite ahead of him. So what you're saying is it's reflected in the market there.
Bobrovsky was minus 350 to start game 4. Huge favorite.
Yeah.
But so go through the run. So Barkov goes up against Kucherov, no goals against. He goes up against Pasternak, 1. Third round, Zibanejad, none. Yeah. And then really until game 4, I mean, McDavid has been good in the series, but until game 4, he'd kind of kept McDavid in check too.
Yeah. No, it's not too hard to build a good case for Barkov, for sure.
They both didn't have their best game in game 4, we could say.
Yeah,
Sure, but no, I would say no one did for
yeah,
Florida.
there were a few that.
Gustav Forsling, another guy who should get some Conn Smythe love or consideration, had a couple tremendous gaffes in Game 4. But then the question is, how deep would the Oilers need to go in order for Connor McDavid to enter the conversation in a losing case?
You probably have to win it or get to.
I think once you get to Game 6, he starts to enter the conversation.
Yeah, depending what happens in a Game 5 or. Yeah, if you get to a Game 6 and beyond,
And he set some records. I get it. Yeah.
He I mean, dude,
Yeah.
Gretzky had 58 records. Now he has 57. That's
right.
Yeah. And
anytime one of those falls, like you're like, that's a real thing.
I have a bone to pick with you, Conn Smythe voters.
Okay.
I keep hearing people walking through their logic over the years, and they immediately turn away from what might be just the obvious one, and they start worrying about legacies of players and how they stack up against other Hall of Famers. It's like,
I think that's
the
really
award's not
disappointing
whose
if
legacy should this go to, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, I don't think legacy should have anything to do with it. I voted for Phil Kessel in 2016.
That was the one.
He should have won the Conn Smythe over
Yes.
Sidney Crosby.
100%.
But that didn't happen.
No,
And-
people start talking about Crosby's legacy. Well, this guy won this many. It's like, well, that has nothing to do with this
Yeah.
award.
Well, guess what? Since then, all of our votes have been public.
Yeah. Okay.
That's how
So
I
what's
look
up-
at it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Frank. You got my
And
back
I
on
was
it.
part of the push to make them public and took a lot of heat for it.
No, that's good.
And
Transparency is
still
always
take
good.
heat for it. Trust
Yeah.
me.
Oh, you can tell Pinder's been hanging on to that for how many years now?
2016.
Yeah,
But 2019, you could have, or 2018, you could have made a really similar case or asked the question about should it have been Kuznetsov or Ovechkin?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm just looking up to make sure I got it right.
Kuznetsov was sensational that postseason.
I did vote for Ovechkin 1, Kuznetsov 2. I mean, the margin was razor thin.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, you've made Pinder's day.
Thank you, buddy.
You could
It's
tell
rare
he's
that happens.
been
Actually.
losing sleep for. 8
I thought I
years.
would make Rhett's day
12 years.
by it was part of that 96 Cats team that helped fuel Kyle.
Going
Lupus. I mean,
Rats.
maybe not so much the Cats. It was, I guess, more so the Avs.
Yeah.
He was he
Avs.
mentioned he's like Yui Krupp shot from the point.
Uwe Krupp.
We
Thanks.
weren't beating Colorado. I can say that.
When did you know?
Probably when it was 8-1. Although Patrick Waugh made a save on Mellenby in game 2. Like he dove across and knocked it out of the air, wide open net. I think that was almost the, oh my God, like we can't even score.
Yeah.
Net's wide open and no one's around.
Dying for chances. We finally get one and it still can't go in. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were good, Rhett. You're right. No shame there.
Is that a throwaway a little bit, though? I mean, I know you're saying that. I think it is good for the Oilers and their confidence, but I don't know if we need to overemphasize that Bobrovsky's going to get rattled by it or that the Panthers are going to be.
One game.
Yeah.
Look, I don't know. Can you keep the Oilers' top guns down again? I mean, for one game, of course you can, but they did a pretty good job through 3, and then it broke open. If there is one team that might be able to pull this off, it might be this one.
What are the odds of a series win? Frank's convincing people to go spend right now.
He's trying.
No,
and you know what?
I don't look. All I'm saying is to go look at this team. The last 3 times they've lost 3 straight. They've only lost 3 straight 3 times under Chris Knobloch. They won 8 in a row, 16 in a row, and 5 in a row.
I don't disagree with you. Like they're just that dangerous enough, and they have the best player we'll watch in our lives. Like you just can't write them off till they're dead. That's who they are, in my opinion.
And I'm not saying they won't die. I'm just saying we've written them off twice already so far. We wrote them off in November. We wrote them off again when they were down to the Stars. They were down 3-2 to the Canucks. Like they've been a hard team to kill.
This is, I mean, and the regular season stuff is great, but
This Florida team is on another level,
This is,
and
and it's a
they've
different
also-
thing. This is another loss and your season's over. If you win 12 in a row instead of 16 in a row, well, okay, let's just try and win. We got another game in 2 nights. Let's try and win that one. It's a little bit different, and it's the same. Yeah, it's the same foe that has been very, very good. Round 1, up 3-0 versus Tampa with a chance to clinch. They lose game 4, then win it in 5. up 3-1 versus Boston, lose game 5, win it in game 6. And they did beat the Rangers in their first chance to clinch. So I don't think it makes them weak or anything. It just,
No.
it's credit to the Oilers for not going down in 4 straight. I still, like I said, I don't think
It
they
would have
win
been
the
easy to
series.
roll over.
Yeah,
Totally.
they could have, but they didn't.
And you know what? I don't think Florida is going to be nearly as sloppy off the rush, defending the rush as they
Could
were
they
in
be?
game 4.
That's lovely.
Did you make them extra sloppy for me today?
Come on now.
I know you kids. Yeah, they're plus 600 to win the series still.
We got you for
Plus
5 more.
600.
Yeah.
That's not nearly enough. 6-1. We're talking. This would be the greatest comeback in the sports history.
Yeah, but to your point, I don't know that we've ever felt down 3-1. There's a team that was still alive. Like no one felt this way about Montreal when they nearly got swept.
But
right?
you only get 6-1. That's insane.
I know. Yeah. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out more of our content right here on the Flames Nation YouTube page. We had a bunch of great long form interviews. You can check out some videos we've done as well outside of the studio. And of course, if you want more writing or merchandise stuff, flamesnation.ca or nationgear.ca. Appreciate you watching.